friends. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. This is my Home Biz Tips. I am Andrea Kuchin, and today I'm going to talk to you about networking. As business owners, we probably do a lot of networking. We belong to a lot of networking groups. I've been networking in person professionally for at least 10 years, over 10 years. And in the early days, I used to go to events that were usually at breakfast time or at lunchtime in rooms in restaurants, private rooms in restaurants. And there'd be a group of us and we'd have a meal together, do some talking, explain who we were, what we did, get an opportunity to talk to each other. Somebody would present one week, or maybe two people would present, and you'd have 5 or 7 minutes to talk. The rest of the time, when you were introducing yourself, you would have, a minute or two, something like that, depended on the size of the group. I was with groups where sometimes there would be a dozen members, and other groups where sometimes there would be 100 members, right? And when I started networking, I learnt that the important thing was to make sure everybody knew who you were, what you did, and had your contact information. Now, recently, it is relatively recently, the last couple of years, we've been networking online. So I'm doing a lot more networking. Smaller groups on the whole, most of the groups are smaller. I mean, they're not 100 people. Well, one of them is. But most of them are fewer than 100 people. And I get an opportunity in a room of 4 people, maybe 5 or 6 people, to talk for 2 minutes about my business. And then there's the chat section, and we're always encouraged to put our information in the chat section. So it's very, very similar. Now, in the old days, where I would make sure that my business card landed on the table at the back of the room, or my business card was on the table where we were eating, to make sure that everybody definitely got it. And then we would sometimes have these special events where we'd invite other business owners who weren't part of our group. Or maybe if it was the same organization that had groups in different areas, they'd all join together for a seasonal party of some kind, a holiday party or a summer barbecue or something like that. So you'd get a bigger group of people. But the really important thing was always to make sure that your contact information got in the hands of the people who were potentially your clients. And as most of the people in the room were business owners, well, pretty much all the people in the room were business owners, they absolutely were my ideal client, absolutely guaranteed. But I have discovered that those tactics, those strategies, they don't work. They're wrong. Whoa. Okay, so let me explain how I figured that out and why I figured that out and what the solution is, okay? All right. Now, before I go any further, let me give you some support and help, because this is big and some of you are going to go, what? That doesn't make any sense. And you might need help. So here's my email address, andrea@myhomebiz.tips. Or you can call or text me on 858-252-1190. Or you can jump here to calendly.com/Andrea Kuchin and book an appointment with me. You can go to our website to find out more about what we do. And of course, you can join the Facebook group, which is called Gain and Retain Clients. And it's also called PhD and Follow-up. Interesting that both names take you to the same place. I'm going to redo these graphics at some point. And you can find out more about what I do by going to myhomebiz.tips/Andrea Kuchin. So if anything I say is confusing, email me or text me and I will clarify what I mean. Okay. If you are a business owner and you are attending any kind of networking event, whether it be in person or whether it be online, you do not need to hand out business cards. In fact, you don't need business cards. What? I learned this, first of all, from somebody who was invited to speak at an event that one of these networking events actually that I told you about. And I'm just checking to see. Sorry, I just got a text message. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't somebody going, can't hear you, or something like that. Okay, so at one of these networking events in Orange County that has 80 people every week at lunch, they had a speaker, and I can't actually quite remember his name. I know since then he's written a book that I've got. If you want to know, let me know. And he's very successful. And he stood there and he said, and people were asking him, can I have your business card? And he said, no, I don't have business cards. What? Don't have business cards? How can somebody get that successful without having business cards? Well, does anyone have any clues to that? All right. The answer is because it doesn't matter how much somebody wants what you have, or wants to connect with you, or wants to do business with you when they meet you at an event. They will get home and they will forget about it because they are focusing on who they can sell to. And by the time they get round to looking at what you had to offer, or they think about it, they won't remember which of the business cards was you and what it is that you do. And they'll keep bumping into you, and the same thing will happen again and again and again. Or maybe if they were a visitor, you'll never see them again. You have absolutely no control over the communication line if you give your contact information away. I have never in 10 years had somebody call me because they had my business card. Never. And nor had this chap, whose name I will remember at some point. He didn't either. And I've met several business owners since who are insanely successful, making a fortune, who don't have business cards either, for the same reason. They want control over the communication cycle. They want the information of the person who is a potential client. So instead of focusing on giving your information away, whether it be in the chat, in the Zoom meeting, or whatever meeting platform it is you use, or with business cards at an event, save yourself the money. Don't bother printing them. Honestly, try it. Try this. It really works. Focus on talking to people and finding out what they need and want. And if what they need and want has anything to do with what you sell, grab their card. If it doesn't, don't. If you're a realtor and you work in Murrieta and you're at an event in Orange County, don't grab the business card of somebody who wants to buy a house in Orange County, because you don't serve that area. That was a silly example, but you know what I mean. Don't pick up business cards of people that you're not interested in doing business with. If they give them to you, take them. Put them on your email list, because, well, I'll tell you later on about why that's useful. If you click with someone and you're not clients for each other, there is a lot more you can do with that person if you keep in touch with them. But for the purpose of this talk, which is about networking only, your job at a networking event is to collect the information, the contact information from the people that you believe are potential clients, or the people you just like. And then, as soon as you can, if you're at a live event and they give you a business card, write on it the important information that you need to know about them. Now, when I started, the only important information to me was their birthday. And if their business card had a mailing address on, it was where, was that the right mailing address if I sent them something? And sometimes they'd say, no, send it to my home. And then they'd write their home on the card for me. Now, some business cards are shiny. So there are two ideas here. You can either buy one of those teeny weeny little sticky note pads and put a sticky note on the back of it, write on it, or you can get Sharpie felt pens. They will write on the back of a business card, even if it's shiny. Or it doesn't really matter, because if you're using a biro and you push hard enough, in a certain light, when you hold the card, you can see the indentation, even if the ink didn't go onto it. So just write down the important things on the back of that card. Now, with in an online networking event, you don't have that. So do make sure that you copy the chat window. And if you're using Zoom, there are those three little dots at the bottom of the chat that say save file. You can save the file, right? And you can create a spreadsheet and you can keep notes. In the meantime, while the meeting is happening, write the person's name and write down anything about them that you notice, like, potential client, has 3 kids, MLMer, or, whatever it is about that person that's of interest to you, great sense of humor. If you think that you could be useful to each other in business, especially if you've talked about having a one-on-one with them, and you, or you just like them, you're just a little bit more interested in them, then keep their information. And as soon as you can after the meeting, put it into your system. Now, I used to call it a CRM until I realized that every single company that produces email marketing software refers to it as a CRM. And when I talk about a CRM, that is not what I mean. What I'm talking about is a connection manager, a contact manager, as in managing the way that you contact a person, right? Not the contact as in who the person is and what their information is, because it's a different thing in my world, right? Following up is my speciality, if you like. And these email blast marketing CRMs are email blast marketing platforms. They're not truly relationship management tools. The relationship management tool has to have, yes, a place to keep the information about that person, but also somewhere that you can keep notes and also dates. Now, I'm going to give you all this information at some point in the future, but this today is about networking, because networking is by far the best way to get to know people in business, because you actually get to know them a little bit, right? People who sell masses of products to masses of people always have a website. I mean, always have videos on their website. Why do they do that? Why do they have a video that talks to you about what their product is and how they can help you? Because when you can talk to somebody, you get a feeling for what they're like. It builds trust. You can figure out whether you like that person or whether you don't like that person, whether what they've got to offer is of value or not. That happens at a networking event. I'm part of a group called Executive Networking Events, ENE. I'm part of their inner circle, and they hold networking events for people. Used to be in person, now it's online. Also, but they also do in-person stuff too. They're doing a big in-person event in a castle in Ireland in a couple of months' time. So The reason they host a networking event and their entire business is based on networking is because networking is the best form of advertising there is, right? It's the best way to get your message out to people. But do not think that because your message is going out there to people, that they will be chasing you to do business with you. Because it doesn't matter how much they want to, other things will get in the way and they will forget. You need to control the conversation. So you need their information. So your mission at your next networking event, whether it be in person or whether it be online, is to gather the information from the people that you're interested in, whatever the interest might be, right? Get as much information for yourself about those people as you can, and then add that to whatever system it is that you are using to manage your people and your communication. In fact, I think I'm going to call a CRM a communication manager instead, or I'm going to call it a CS, communication system, right? It's a communication system, and it manages your communications, whether they be by phone, by text message, by email. You keep control of everything. Okay, so that's the first big tip, right? And the second big tip, and this is, again, it goes completely against what we've been taught. The second big tip is this: listen. Don't talk. Listen. So when I started going to networking events, like I told you, it was 10 years ago, and my main objective was to make sure that everybody got my business card, knew who I was and what I did. So I was always very happily and very enthusiastically telling people all about my business, which is great, except they're not listening, because they are at networking events to look for customers and clients, just like you are. So they're not listening to you to find out how you can help them. They're listening to you to find out how you can help you, how they can help you. In other words, how they can sell to you, right? So let them tell you. Just introduce yourself and let them talk. Because you know what? They will like you more because you let them talk. Sounds weird, doesn't it? They go back not knowing anything about you, but they like you because you listened and you allowed them to talk. And that is priceless. And I've tried it. And believe you me, I'm a talker. I mean, you know that. How often do I come on here and say it's going to be a quick one today, thinking I'll talk for 10 minutes, and I go and talk for 20 minutes because there's so much to say. I could talk for hours and hours and hours. So I love talking. I know other people don't. Good. You don't need to. You need to listen, because when you listen, people will love you. Oh, that lovely lady, that charming lady that does that the home business thingy. Lovely lady. And that's what they'll remember. Whereas if you fire hose them, blast all your information at them, you just overwhelm them with a whole load of information, and they'll just think, great, I've got your business card, good. You know, or they might even get home and throw it away because you're not the person for them. So let everyone else do the talking. First of all, it also helps you get to know them, so you figure out whether you want to work with them or not. And it allows you to give them what they need to know at another time. Because when they then say, when you then reach out to them to say, I met you at the event yesterday or earlier today, and I would love to have a one-on-one to find out more about what you do. They'll think, Oh yeah, that was that lovely chap who something or other. Oh, that lovely blonde man or that lovely red-headed woman, because you listen to them and they will be more than happy to have a one-on-one with you. And at that point, you can tell them how you serve them and how you help them and how you can grow their business for them. Yes, that is the value of networking. If you implement those tools in your networking strategy, it doesn't matter how awful, non-effective, waste of time you think your previous networking efforts were, that will change because you have the control of the communication, because you have their information, and you impress them by being a nice person because you let them talk about their company, their business, which is, after all, for most people, their favorite subject. People love to talk about what they do. If they're passionate about their business, they love an opportunity to tell people all about it. But a networking event is not necessarily the best place to get clients because they are trying to get clients. So by postponing that to a one-on-one meeting, it gives you a better opportunity to then tell them what you do. Now that I've turned your world potentially a little bit upside down and told you you don't need business cards, which you always thought you did, you probably always thought you did, and you don't need to make sure that everybody's got your information, which you might have thought you did. How does it sound? Does it make sense? Does what I'm saying mean anything? Is it logical? Are you thinking that actually could work? Let me know. And more importantly, take a risk and try it at the next event you go to. Try implementing those two things. Yes, hand out your business cards if you've got them, but focus on collecting their card and as much information about them as you can, and let them talk. Those are the two things, the two tips for the day. 1, collect their information. 2, let them do the talking. And then you need excellent follow-up in order to be able to close the sale. Or do the other things that might be relevant in that situation. Now, I'm going to be talking more and more about this as time progresses, because this really is my area of expertise. And I've learnt a lot, and I love sharing what I've learnt. So join me here again next week and let me know. Put the information in the group or wherever. Let me know how you got on with your crazy experiment to do networking completely different from the way that you used to. Now, again, you have questions, you reach out to me. Okay, there's my email address. Oh, my mouse has stopped working. Okay, Andrea at myhomebiz.tips. Telephone number 858-252-1190. Calendly link, calendly.com, Andrea Kuchin. Here's the website, myhomebiz.tips. Check it out and join the Facebook group. Join the community. Contribute. Find out what other people are doing. See if other people have tried these crazy ideas and what kind of a success they've had. Okay? Keep in touch. I love feedback. So if you have any feedback, and it can always be, I tried your silly ideas, Andrea, and they don't work. Great. I'd love to know any kind of feedback, any kind of conversation, communication. Hit me with it. That's what I'm here for. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.